Blistered Emma Raducanu overcomes Camila Osorio in longest two-set match this year. Emma Raducanu suffered blister problems which left the skin ripping off her injured hand, causing fresh concern just weeks before the US Open defense. In furnace-like conditions in Washington and on an eerily quiet court, Raducanu was subjected to the ultimate endurance test in a dogged, second-round win over Camila Osorio at the Citi Open. The 7-6, 7-6 win set up a quarter-final against Camila Osorio today, and the question is how Raducanu will be able to recover from her callouses, described as pretty ugly by on-court interviewer Rennae Stubbs after the match.
Everything out there. 2 hours and 50 minutes in the suffocating afternoon heat in DC. It's a second quarter-final of the year for the British #1. Some effort.
Keep those hands going.
Breathtaking stuff, really was.
Wow, Emma, we didn't even let you sit down then. What an incredible match. I have to ask you, you've played a lot of tennis over the last few years, well, your whole life really, but put that match with the heat, the conditions, and of course, you know Camila, she's such a fighter, into context for us.
Yeah.
If you can right now.
I think I died about 3 times in that match and then came back. Honestly, I don't know how. Camila is such a battler. I mean, every single point I was working so hard, and sometimes, you know, it wasn't necessarily the strongest shots, but you just got to generate over and over again, and she's such a fighter. And even when I was up in the second set, like 4-2, 40 love, like 3 break points, she came back fighting, and then obviously when she comes back, the dynamic of the match changes a bit. So yeah, I'm just really pleased to have got through that one.
How much did you, after you won the first set, you know you've got it under your belt, obviously with the heat conditions. What do you tell yourself when you go inside to regroup, to come back out here in these conditions?
It's really tough. I mean, after a set like that, where there's so much emotion involved and there's so much going on, and then you win the set, it's very easy to just switch off. And I was just telling myself to stay sharp, keep working for every point, because I knew as soon as I let up, she'd be right back in, and that's what she did. And sometimes it's difficult because after all the emotion, you almost forget how to play tennis after a bit of a break like that, and it's very easy to switch off, but I'm happy that I pulled through.
So you saw that she took a time out because of blisters on her feet, and you had obviously some blisters on your hand. I wish you guys could see this. It's not pretty. Look at that.
There's more on my feet as well. Some more on my feet as well.
Yeah, so in the conditions like this, explain how and why that happens.
Yeah, I mean, it actually came out of nowhere, to be honest. Like, beginning of the match, I was all right, just the normal calluses, and then throughout the match, I mean, my skin was just ripping off, and in the beginning, there was like a flap, but then the flap got ripped off, and it was just pretty raw and open. Sorry if it's TMI, but, you know.
That's okay. I just want you all to know that I'm really close to them, and the calluses are pretty ugly. Listen, you got to play against Samsonova now, who won earlier today. Such a big hitter of the ball. Very, very different to your opponent that you played today. I know it's hard to think about, but your thoughts on playing her?
Yeah, she's a big ball striker, and she has the ability to take the game out of your hands. So for me, it's just about recovering as best as I can for tomorrow, and then she also had a 3-set match today, so I think both of us are going to be feeling it, and it's going to be a matter of, you know, who's going to stay tough, and yeah, we'll see how the dynamic goes tomorrow.
Emma, I'm going to let you go because wow, oh wow, almost 3 hours. Ladies and gentlemen, what a performance. Emma Raducanu.
A magnificent victory for Emma Raducanu in Washington. A warm embrace between 2 players who have left everything out there. 2 hours and 50 minutes in the suffocating afternoon heat in DC. It's a second quarter-final of the year for the British #1. Some effort.